All right, so let's start our reading then. I'm not quite sure where we ended. When the Kundalini rises to the Sahasrara and the mind goes into Samadhi, the aspirant loses all consciousness of the outer world. It can no longer retain his physical body. If milk is poured into his mouth, it runs out again. In that state, the life breath lingers for 21 days and then passes out. Entering the black waters of the ocean, the ship never comes back. But the Ishvara Kodis, such as the incarnations of God, can come down from the state of Samadhi. They can descend from this exalted state because they like to live in the company of devotees and enjoy the love of God. God retains in them the ego of knowledge or the ego of devotion so that they may teach people. Their minds move back and forth between the sixth and the seventh planes. They run a boat race back and forth, as it were, between these two planes. After attaining Samadhi, some souls of their own accord keep the ego of knowledge, but that ego does not create any attachment. It's like a line drawn on water. Hanuman kept the servant ego after realizing God in both his personal and his impersonal aspects. He thought of himself as a servant of God. The great sages such as Narada, Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara, after attaining the knowledge of Brahman, kept the servant ego, or the ego of devotion. They're like big steamships which not only cross the ocean themselves, but carry many passengers to the other shore. There are two classes of Paramahamsas, one affirming the formless reality and the other affirming God with form. Trilunga Swami believed in the formless reality. Paramahamsas like him care for their good alone. They feel satisfied if they themselves attain the goal. But the Paramahamsas who believe in God with form and keep the love of God even after attaining the knowledge of Brahman, so that they may teach spiritual truth to others. They're like a pitcher brimful of water. Part of the water may be poured into another pitcher. These perfected souls describe to others the various spiritual disciplines by which they have realized God. They do this only to teach others and to help them in their spiritual life. With great effort, men dig a well for drinking water, using spades and baskets for that purpose. After the digging is over, some throw the spades and other implements into the well, not needing them anymore. But some put them away near the well so that others may use them. Some eat mangoes secretly and remove all trace of them by wiping their mouths with a towel. But some share the fruit with others. There are sages who, even after attaining knowledge, work to help others and also to enjoy the bliss of God in the company of devotees. I want to eat sugar. I don't want to be sugar. The gopis of Vrindavan, too, attained knowledge of Brahman. But they were not seeking it. They wanted to enjoy God, looking upon themselves as his mother, his friend, his handmaid, or his lover. The bowels from Shibpur began to sing to the accompaniment of a stringed instrument. The line of the first song was, "We are sinners, redeem us, O merciful Lord," Master to the devotees. It's the attitude of beginner to worship God out of fear. Please sing a song out of God realization, songs expressing divine joy. To Rakhal, how well they sang the song the other day at Nabin Niyogi's house. Be drunk, O mind, be drunk with the wine of heavenly bliss. While singing religious songs, one should not constantly refer to one's worries. One should rather feel joyous and ecstatic as one chants God's name. A devotee, "Sir, won't you sing?" Master, "What shall I sing?" "Well, I may sing when the Spirit moves me." After a few minutes, the master began to sing. His eyes were turned upward. He sang, "Behold the waves of Gora's ecstatic love. Under them all the universe lies submerged. And in his love I too long to be drowned. O friend, Gauranga's love has swallowed me. Who else feels for our misery like Gauranga, dragging us from this mire of worldliness?" He sang again, "Dive deep, O mind, dive deep in the ocean of God's beauty. If you descend to the uttermost depths, there you will find the gem of love." Then he sang about the Divine Mother. "Can everyone have the vision of Shama? Is Kali's treasure for everyone? Oh, what a pity my foolish mind will not see what is true." He continued, "The black bee of my mind is drawn in sheer delight to the blue lotus flower of Mother Shama's feet." And again, "O Mother, what a machine," that's the human body. "O Mother, what a machine is that thou hast made. What pranks thou playest with this toy 3.5 cubits high." As Sri Ramakrishna sang the last song, he went into samadhi. The devotee sat speechless, gazing at his radiant figure. After some time, he regained partial consciousness of the world and began to talk to the Divine Mother. The master said, "Mother, please come down from there." Did he feel like his mind still lingered on the seventh plane of consciousness, the thousand-petaled lotus of the Sahasrara? "Please do come down," he said. "Don't torment me that way. Be still, Mother, and sit down." "Oh, Mother, everyone's future is determined by the tendencies of his previous births. What shall I say to these people? Nothing can be achieved without discrimination and renunciation." Sri Ramakrishna had now regained full consciousness of the world, and he continued, "There are many kinds of renunciation. One of them may be called Markata Vairagya, monkey renunciation. It's a false renunciation, stimulated by the afflictions of the world. That renunciation doesn't last long. Then there's real renunciation. A man with everything in the world, lacking nothing, feels it all to be unreal. It's not possible to acquire renunciation all at once. The time factor must be taken into account. But it's also true that a man should hear about it. When the right time comes, he will say to himself, 'Oh yes, I heard about this.' You must remember another thing. By constantly hearing about renunciation, one's desire for worldly objects gradually wears away. One should take rice water in small doses to get rid of the intoxication of liquor. Then one gradually becomes normal. An aspirant entitled to the knowledge of God is very rare. But it is said in the Gita that 1 in 1,000 desires to know God, and again that among thousands who have such a desire, only one is able to know him." A devotee quoted the text from the Gita. "Master, as your attachment to the world diminishes, your spiritual knowledge will increase. Attachment to the world means attachment to lust and greed. It's not given to everybody to feel prema, ecstatic love of God. Chaitanya experienced it. An ordinary man can at most experience bhava. Only the Ishvara Kodis, such as divine incarnations, experience prema. When prema is awakened, the devotee not only feels the world to be unreal, but he forgets even the body, which is so very dear to a person. In a Persian book, it is said that inside the skin is the flesh, inside the flesh is the bone is the marrow, and so on, but that prema is the innermost of all. One becomes soft and tender through prema. On account of this prema, Krishna became Tribhanga, and that means literally bent in 3 places. And it says the usual standing figure of Krishna is bent in 3 places, namely the neck, the waist, and the knees. Prema is the rope by which you can tether God, as it were. Whenever you want to see him, you merely have to pull the rope. Whenever you call him, he will appear before you. The mature stage of bhakti is bhava. When one attains it, one remains speechless, thinking of Satchidananda. The feeling of an ordinary man can go only that far. When bhava ripens, it becomes mahabhava. Prema is the last. You know the difference between a green mango and a ripe one. Unalloyed love of God is the essential thing. All else is unreal. Once Rama was pleased with a prayer of Narada and told him to ask him for a boon. Narada prayed for pure love and said further, "O Rama, please grant that I may not be deluded by thy world-bewitching Maya." Rama said, "That's all right, but ask for something else." Narada replied, "I don't want anything else. I only pray for pure love." How can a devotee attain such love? First, the company of holy men. Then that awakens Shraddha, faith in God. Then comes Nishtha, single-minded devotion to the ideal. In that stage, the devotee does not like to hear of anything but talk about God. He performs only those acts that please God. After Nishtha comes bhakti, devotion to God, and then comes bhava. Next, mahabhava, then prema, and last of all, the attainment of God. Only for Ishvara Kodis, such as the incarnations, is it possible to have mahabhava or prema. The knowledge of a worldly person, the knowledge of a devotee, and the knowledge of an incarnation are by no means the same degree. The knowledge of a worldly person is like the light of an oil lamp, which shows only the inside of a room. Through such knowledge he eats and drinks, attends to household duties, protects his body, brings up his children, and so on. The knowledge of a devotee is like the light of the moon, which illumines objects both inside and outside a room. But such light does not enable him to see a distant or a very minute object. The knowledge of an incarnation of God is like the light of the sun. Through that light, the incarnation sees everything, inside and outside, big and small. The mind of a worldly person is, no doubt, like muddy water, but it can be made clear by a purifying agent. Discrimination and renunciation are the purifying agent. The master spoke to the devotees from Shibpur. Master, have you any questions to ask? A devotee, we have listened to your words. Master, yes, it's good to listen to these things, but nothing will happen except at the right time. What can quinine do for a fever patient when he runs a high temperature? Only when his temperature comes down through the use of a fever mixture or a purgative should quinine be prescribed. There are patients who get rid of their fever even without quinine. A child said to his mother when he was put to bed, "Mother, please wake me up when I feel the call of nature." The mother said, "My child, I shall not have to wake you. The urge itself will wake you." Different kinds of people come here. Some come by boat with the devotees, but they do not enjoy spiritual talk. They keep nudging their friends and whispering, "When shall we leave here? When are we going?" If the friends show no sign of getting up, they say, "We would rather wait for you in the boat." Those who have a human body for the first time need the experience of sense enjoyments. Spiritual consciousness is not awakened unless certain duties have been performed. The master was going to the pine grove. With a smile, he said to M on the semicircular porch, "Well, what do you think of my state of mind?" M smiling, "On the surface, you're very simple, but inwardly very deep. It's extremely difficult to understand you." Master smiling, "True. It is like the cement floor of a house. People see only the outer surface and do not know how many materials there are under it." It was about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Balaram and several other devotees got into a country boat to return to Kolkata. It was ebb tide in the Ganges. A gentle breeze was blowing from the south, covering the bosom of the sacred river with ripples. M looked at the scene a long time. As the boat disappeared in the direction of Calcutta, he came back to the master. Ramakrishna was going to the pine grove. A beautiful dark rain cloud was to be seen in the northwest. The master asked him, "Do you think it will rain? Please bring my umbrella." M brought the umbrella. Reaching the Panchavati, the master said to Latu, who also accompanied him, "Why do you look so sickly?" Latu, "I can hardly eat anything." Master, "Is that the only reason?" "It's also a bad time of the year. Are you meditating too much?" To M, "I have a request to make of you. Please tell Babaram to stay with me a day or two during Rakal's absence. Otherwise, I shall feel very unhappy." M, "Yes, sir, I shall tell him." Ramakrishna asked M whether he thought Babaram was guileless, and that's the future Swami Premananda. Presently, the master left them, going in the direction of the pine trees. After a few minutes, M and Latu, standing in the Panchavati, saw the master coming back toward them. Behind him, the sky was black with a rain cloud. Its reflection in the Ganges made the water darker. The disciples felt that the master was God incarnate, a divine child, 5 years old, radiant with a smile of innocence and purity. Around him were the sacred trees of the Panchavati, under which he had practiced spiritual discipline and had beheld visions of God. At his feet flowed the sacred river Ganges, the destroyer of man's sins. The presence of this God-man charged the trees, the shrubs, flowers, plants, and temples with spiritual fervor and divine joy. Ramakrishna returned to his room and sat on the small couch. He began to praise a medicine that a certain brahmachari had prepared for him. Referring to this man, Hazra said, "He is now entangled in many anxieties. What a shame! Look at Nibai Chaitanya of Kanagar. Though a householder, he's put on a red cloth. That means the cloth of renunciation. Master, what shall I say? I clearly see it as God himself who has assumed all these human forms. Therefore, I cannot take anybody to task. Hazra. Narendra is again involved in a lawsuit. Master, he doesn't believe in Shakti, the Divine Mother. If one assumes a human body, one must recognize her. Hazra. Narendra says, if I believed in Shakti, all would follow me. Therefore, I cannot. Master, but it is not good for him to go to the extreme of denying the Divine Mother. He is now under Shakti's jurisdiction. Even a judge, while giving evidence in a case, comes down and stands in the witness box. Great illustration, but it's also worth noting that, of course, it didn't take too long for Narendra to accept Shakti. It was a hard road, but then once he accepted her, that was it. To M. Have you seen Narendra lately? M. Not during the last few days, Master. See him and bring him here in a carriage. To Hazra. Well, what is his relation to this, meaning himself? Hazra. He expects help from you. Master. And what about Bhavanat? Would he come here so frequently if he didn't have good tendencies? What about Harish and Latu? They always meditate. Why is that? Hazra. That's right. Why should they devote all their time to meditation? It's quite a different thing for them to stay here and attend to your personal needs. Master. Possibly you are right. Perhaps others may take their place now. Hazra left the room, leaving the master alone with them. Master. Does what I say in this state of ecstasy attract people? M. Oh, yes, very much. Master. What do people think of me? Do they think anything in particular about me when they see me in this condition? M. We feel in you a wonderful synthesis of knowledge, love, and renunciation, and on the surface, a natural spontaneity. Many divine experiences have passed like huge steamboats through the deep of your inner consciousness. Still, you maintain outwardly this utter simplicity. Many cannot understand it, but a few are attracted by this state alone. Master. There is a sect of Vaishnavas, known as the Goshpara, who describe God as the Sahaja, the simple one. They say further that a man cannot recognize this simple one unless he too is simple. To M. Have I any ego? M. Yes, sir, a little. You've kept it to preserve your body and to enjoy divine love in the company of the devotees and impart spiritual knowledge to them. Further, you have kept this trace of ego by praying to the Divine Mother for it. Master. No, I have not kept it. It is God himself who has left it in me. Can you tell me how I appear in the state of samadhi? M. As you said a little while ago, you see the form of God when your mind rises to the 6th plane. When you speak after that, your mind comes down to the 5th plane. Master. It's God who does all these things. I don't know anything. M. That's why you attract people so much. Sir, I have a question to ask. There are 2 opinions in the scriptures. According to one Purana, Krishna is Chidatma, the Absolute, and Radha is Chit Shakti, its divine power. But according to another, Krishna himself is Kali, the primordial power. Master. The second view is held in the Devi Purana. According to it, Kali herself has become Krishna. But what difference does it make? God is infinite, and infinite are the ways to reach him. M remained speechless with wonder for a few moments and then said, Oh, now I understand. As you say, the important thing is to climb to the roof. Our goal will be achieved, and we can accomplish it by following any means, be it a rope or a pole. Master, it is through the grace of God that you have understood that. Without his grace, doubt is never cleared up. The important thing is to somehow cultivate devotion to God and love for him. What is the use of knowing many things? It's enough to cultivate love of God, following any of these paths. When you have this love, you are sure to attain God. Afterwards, if it's necessary, God will explain everything to you and tell you about the other paths as well. It is enough for you to develop love of God. You have no need of many opinions and discussions. You have to come to the orchard to eat mangoes. Enjoy them to your heart's content. You don't need to count the branches and the leaves on the trees. It's wise to follow the attitude of Hanuman. I do not know the day of the week, the phase of the moon, or the position of the stars. I only contemplate Rama. M. I now desire that my activities may be much reduced, and that I may devote myself greatly to God. Master. Certainly your desire will be fulfilled. But a jnani can live unattached in the world. True, sir. But one needs special power to lead an unattached life. Master. That is also true. But perhaps you wanted the worldly life. Krishna had become ensnared in Radha's heart, but Radha wanted to sport with him in human form. Hence all the episodes at Vrindavan. Now you should pray to God that your worldly duties may be reduced, and you will achieve the goal if you renounce mentally. M. But mental renunciation is prescribed for those who cannot give up the world outwardly. For superior devotees, total renunciation is enjoyed both outward and inward. Sri Ramakrishna was silent a few minutes and then resumed the conversation. How did you like what I said about renunciation a little while ago? M. Very much, sir. Master, tell me, what is the meaning of renunciation? M. Renunciation does not mean simply dispassion for the world. It means dispassion for the world and also longing for God. Master, you are right. You no doubt need money for your worldly life, but don't worry too much about it. The wise course is to accept what comes of its own accord. Don't take too much trouble to save money. Those who surrender their hearts and souls to God, those who are devoted to Him and have taken refuge in Him, do not worry much about money. As they earn, so they spend. The money comes out one way and goes out the other. This is what the Gita described as accepting what comes of its own accord. The master referred to Haripada and said, he came here the other day. M. He knows how to sing the stories of the Purana. He sings melodiously about the life of Prahlada and the nativity of Sri Krishna. Master, is that so? The other day I looked into his eyes. They had an inward look. I asked him whether he meditated a great deal, but he sat there with his eyes cast down and didn't answer. Then I said to him, look here, don't strain yourself too much. It was now dusk. Sri Ramakrishna, as was usual with him during this part of the day, chanted the names of God, and turned his mind to contemplation. Soon the moon rose in the sky. The temples, courtyards, and trees were bathed in its silvery light, and millions of broken moons played on the rippling surface of the Ganges. Rakhal and M were with the master in his room. Master to M. Balaram says, oh, the worldly life, God forbid. M. His opinion is based on mere hearsay. What does he know of the world? He's a mere child. Master, yes, that is true. Have you noticed Niranjan? He's utterly artless. M. Yes, sir. His very appearance attracts people. How expressive his eyes are. Master, not only his eyes, but his entire person. His relatives proposed that he marry. At this he said, why, are you going to drown me? With a smile, tell me this. People say that a man finds great pleasure in the company of his wife after the hard work of the day. M. That's no doubt true of those who think that way. To Rakhal with a smile, we are now being examined. That's a leading question. Both Rakhal and M were married. Master with a smile, a mother says, I shall heave a sigh of relief if I can procure the shade tree for my son. Shade tree, the word also means wife. He will rest in its shade while scorched by the heat of the world. M. True, sir. But there are parents and parents. A father who is spiritually illumined doesn't give his children in marriage. If he does, it's a fine spirituality. Adhar Sen arrived from Calcutta and saluted the master. After a few minutes, he went to the temple of Kali, where M followed him. A little later, M was sitting in the bathing ghat on the Ganges. The flood tide had just set in. As he listened to the water lapping against the bank, many pictures of Sri Ramakrishna's divine life flitted before his mind. The untiring discourse on spiritual life, his genuine love for the devotees, and, above all, his childlike simplicity. Who was this man? Was it God who had embodied himself on earth for the sake of his devotees? Adhar and M returned to the master's room. Adhar had been to Chittagong in East Bengal on official duty. He was telling the master about his visit to the Chandranath Hills and Sita Kund, sacred places at Chittagong. Adhar: near Sita Kund, I visited a well where I saw fire in the water. It's always burning on the water with leaping tongues. Master: how is that possible? Adhar: the water contains phosphorus. Presently Ram Chatterjee entered the room. The master said some kind words about him to Adhar. Master: Ram's presence in the temple garden has relieved us of many anxieties. He searches out Harish, Latu, and others at mealtime. Very often they're absorbed in meditation in some corner of the temple garden. It is Ram who sees that they eat at the proper time. And that is the end of that day, which is a good time to have a conclusion. Any discussion or questions or anything anyone would like to add? Yeah, Amrita.
Dr. Pranab, could you explain the difference between Ishwar Kotis and incarnations? I thought there was a big difference.
I thought there was, I've run into that myself. I've even looked it up.
Okay.
And it's like, I thought there was a difference too. I thought there was like, but somehow avatars and Ishwara Kotis are lumped together in some cases and others not. I have no idea.
Because I read, in the
Because we've got, yes, because there's some of the direct disciples that are Ishwara Kotis, eternally free. And of course, an avatar is eternally free. So maybe by that they mean those who are eternally free can, whether they are an incarnation or someone who is an Ishwara Koti like Premananda, Vivekananda, Brahmananda, can also attain those, but the other ones can't. That's the only thing I can figure out in this context. Because I thought, what?
Because of the great master, isn't it, the distinction is that an avatar can live in both worlds?
Both worlds, and also can transmit spirituality by a look or a touch.
Right.
But in this case, he and in several places he'll say Ishwara Kotis and then include incarnation in the same general category.
Wasn't there that distinction when they said Ramakrishna went up to the sage and said, come with me this time? And it was Narendra.
Yeah, another Ishwara Koti, but in this one it's like, in the but it was that particular quote in here about the Ishwara Kotis.
Use the expression an Ishwar Koti or an avatar or something.
Yeah, but in that it's Ishwara, yes, it's like they're all included together, including an avatar along in the same category as Ishwara Koti. Yes, that's the question is. But
Distinction then between avatar and incarnation.
well, but we're not even getting to the incarnation. We're just
No, I know, but I mean, is there, that's basically what the question is, the avatar, is the avatar an incarnation?
I always thought they were the same, but I don't know.
I'm assuming it is. I mean, that's. I'm trying to find the exact quote.
I'm only getting more confused over it.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, in today's world, avatar is used quite loosely.
No, but he wasn't. He doesn't use. He says avatar. I'm trying to get to those exact words because I've
Twice
within a short time.
Yeah.
And it's about the context of prema and it's in the context of prema, bhava, and mahabhava.
I may have a totally misunderstand, but
We need to find the exact quote so it could be.
the incarnation is above all of those.
Yeah.
Well, that was ours too, but it doesn't sound like it in this particular instance.
Kind of close to the beginning of when you started reading it.
Yeah.
Oh, quite early.
Okay. Paramahamsas. Okay, if any of you find the page number, let me know. About the boat race going back and forth. But the Ishwar Kodis, such as the incarnation of God, can come down from the state of samadhi. They can descend from this exalted state because they live in the company of devotees. Yeah, Ishwar Kodis, such as the incarnations of God, where we think of incarnations of God as being Sri Ramakrishna, Rama, Krishna, yeah, right. And when we think of Ishwar Kodis in our tradition, we often we think of Swamiji Maharaj, Swami Premananda, Niranjan, those. So yes, I don't know. I know, because I also was like, and I looked it up, and then I couldn't find anything that.
Would that be when they took birth and human form?
But it's the wording.
Yeah,
There is, yeah.
the Ishwara cookies were their incarnations, would they take human birth?
Well, but they all take human birth. But he's saying Ishwar Kodis, such as incarnations of God, and that's the second time that comes in a very short time.
Right, and so it makes it sound like it's the same category.
Exactly. That's
Which we've always thought of it
it's
as
two different categories. Yes. Devi Prana, do you have any illuminating words on that?
No.
That was-
say is good.
What's that?
What you're saying makes sense.
It sounds to me like he's saying such as meaning an example of Ishvara Koti.
Right, but then how can an avatar be an example of an Ishwara Koti?
I think it's a translation thing.
I don't know.
What page?
Paragraph.
By the way?
I'm on page 500.
Okay, all right. I'll check it out.
Okay. All right. All right. So that is, and our flummoxing is it for today. Okay. So tomorrow, Swami Mahayogananda will speak on the call of the Spirit. And Wednesday, we will have a class on Swami Akhandananda. And Saturday, no reading. No reading next Saturday. However, another treat on Sunday, a week from Sunday, Wade Daisy will speak on the all-important topic of spiritual procrastination. Right. Definitely an important topic. Okay, so then I'll conclude with a chant. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thanks all for joining.